course, the Bengals are coming off a season where they just won 9 games, partially because, again, they didn't have Joe Burrow. I mean, that was a big part of it. Either way, though, they, of course, have made some pretty big changes. Of course, there's a lot of uncertainty around T. Higgins, and that it was something we were talking about today. Of course, it is time for the Cincinnati Bengals 2024 roster grades. They, of course, have been to back-to-back AFC championships prior to this year. How are they going to do this year? Well, the coming year, as you guys know. Well, let's see. Bengals 2024 roster grades. And with that, what is going on, guys? Welcome back to the NFL. Of course, please like and subscribe if you guys enjoyed the Cincinnati Bengals 2024 roster grades. Of course, as I said in the intro, this is a team that has had a lot of success, of course, with Joe Burrow, their number 1 overall pick in 2020 at quarterback. But obviously last year, it went a little bit off the rails, of course, in which they lost him for, again, a second season. Of course, his rookie year was the other season. Again, he missed pretty good amount of time. But, again, they were still pretty competitive. Somehow, still finishing last with a 9-8 record in their division, which, again, is pretty rare. Oh, yeah, and fun fact, guys, the Steelers have never finished last in the AFC North. I find that, like, absolutely insane, but I mean, when you get the Browns being so bad for so long and the Bengals stinking it up at times, kind of makes sense. But either way, guys, of course, looking at this quarterback position, I mean, it's pretty straightforward. I mean, Joe Burrow, he's like, again, really only complaint you can really say about him is, yeah, maybe there's some stuff that you could talk about with, again, his, like, arm count and not being, again, like, the most mobile quarterback in the NFL. But outside of those very, very, very ridiculous gripes, he's probably the second best quarterback in the NFL. Really, again, the only other thing I'd say about him is that, again, it's injuries. That's really what probably keeps him back from, again, a guy like Josh Allen. But they're obviously very, very similar. He wins games. He's got that, again, that aura to him that really no other quarterback has. Last year, though, honestly, guys, the start of the season, obviously, first 4 games, he was injured. He did not look good in any of those games. He really stepped it up in Week 5, obviously, with that massive day against the Cardinals. Week 6 wasn't great, but they still won. Then, obviously, he had that massive Week 8 game, and, again, the Week 9 game. He was pretty good as well before, of course, he did suffer that injury in Week 11, which ended his season. But, yeah, Joe Burrow, I still think, again, he's obviously one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, and there's no doubting that. But, again, injured last year, didn't play great to start the season. Again, healthy offseason. I hope Joe Burrow can, again, be back. And he, of course, shadowed his wrist in that Week 11 game. Jake Browning, actually probably one of the better backs in the league. He did a really good job last year. Threw for basically 2,000 yards and 12 touchdowns in those 9 games. He has a pretty decent deep ball, solid arm overall for, again, the position. I like Jake Browning a lot. He did a really good job last year for this team. Again, there are capital that we can play. Again, when it comes to, again, pressure, he does not deal with that well. Probably why he isn't a starter in the league. But yeah, Jake Browning, solid backup. Again, a guy who can really sling the football around. Logan Woodside, again, good in preseason. That's really all as far as I can go with him. I mean, yeah, he does a pretty good job. Rocky Lombardi, this is like those underdog quarterback names I could find, because then you got, again, Vince Lombardi, one of the best, probably the best coach ever, and obviously Rocky, who, again, a huge underdog. So, I mean, that's a great name, Rocky Lombardi. But, again, if you can somehow make this roster UDF out of Northern Illinois, well, that would be freaking awesome. Either way, though, quarterback position, I'll give them an A+. I think that's fair. You could argue it's an A, but I still think, again, Joe Burrow, again, top 3 quarterback, I think that's pretty fair to give him an A+. A, again, if you want to really gripe about stuff, I don't really care, but I think A+ is fair for this position. Again, he's been to the Super Bowl. Again, you get all this other crap. But, yeah, I think, again, it's him and Josh Allen an A+. Again, Mahomes is above them. That's probably why. But, yeah, again, you could argue an A, but I'm giving him an A+. Again, it's not really that big of a difference there. That's 55 points, of course. No, 60, my bad. Yeah, 60, there we go. Now let's go running back. And now we're looking at running backs for the Bengals. Of course, they did make a pretty big change, of course, in the starting spot. Of course, Joe Mixon is out again. He's a little bit older now, so he goes over to the Texans. Of course, they bring in another AFC South running back, that being Zach Moss. He'll be their starting running back, but trust me, I don't think he'll get any more than, again, maybe 200 carries. Again, they'll use Chase Brown, their backup, a lot. But the thing with Zach Moss, again, he had probably his, I'd argue, the best year of his career. I don't know, he's pretty good his rookie year, too. Honestly, yeah, we'll say his best year of his career. Of course, he broke a couple big runs last year, 56-yarder, again, against the Titans. Of course, was the headliner there. He did a great job, again, filling in for Jonathan Taylor, and really, again, was a lead horse for part of the last year. Again, he isn't the most, again, like, fun running back to watch, because he won't do anything crazy. Again, but he does have some explosion to his game. Really good shotgun back, very solid pass protector. Also is very good at what it's called as receiving back. Again, last year was utilized a lot there. Again, I think, again, if they're able to get him under center a little more and give him a couple more opportunities to, again, get downhill running, I think, again, he can still be good. But, again, he's most effective as a shotgun guy. That's obviously what they're going to want to do with Joe Burrow. But, yeah, I mean, he's not one of the best running backs in the league, but, again, he'll do good stuff overall. Again, I think Zach Moss is a solid guy. Chase Brown, again, really, he had that one big game against the Colts in Week 14. Where is it? No. There it is. Yeah, again, not many rushing yards, but again, he was still, I guess he had a good game with the Jaguars too. They didn't really use him all last year. It was kind of confusing, but yeah. Again, pretty solid year overall from him. Again, he struggled to start the year. He did absolutely nothing. Beginning of that, what was a 54-yard touchdown against the Colts. He's a fast back. Again, he had a lot of touches at Illinois. Again, I think he's a guy who again could carry again a pretty good again when it looks like the power running game. Again, they're trying to again get downhill and stuff like that. Chase Brown I think would be the guy for that. But again, he's not again obviously a great backup because we just haven't seen him play in the NFL. But again, he looked pretty good last year in the limited role he had. Travion Williams. I mean, I guess he's a good third back. I mean, he gets some carries. He's been efficient in his career for sure. Really, again, not great in 2021. But again, a couple carries here and there. Not a bad third back at all. Again, there's better guys, but I really wouldn't be concerned. Guys, you obviously have Chris Evans, who's basically a return specialist at this point. I mean, he had I think he had one game with the. Did he start with the Bengals? No, he didn't. Yeah, no, it wasn't that year. Here we go, 2021. Wait, I swear he started. Yeah, I think he started against the Browns, or at least he got to play. He looked pretty good in that game. Again, that was like 3 years ago. But again, that's really the other time I've seen him. Running back wise, will probably give him a C+. Again, I'm not really moved by Zach Moss really at all. But again, I know he will be at least somewhat consistent, so I guess that's good. Chase Brown again, and Trayvon Williams again. There's worse backups in the league, but again, I would be more comfortable with Joe Mixon, even though I guess at his advanced age, I guess, for running back. But yeah, Zach Moss is a solid guy, but that's really all I can say about him. Because again, he'll do some good stuff, but he really has never been again a true lead horse. But again, he did do a really good job last year for the Colts. That's 12 points of running back. Now let's do this. I guess maybe new wide receiver core. I guess. Yeah, let's look at it. And for this wide receiver core, it probably goes 3 deep, I guess. Again, losing Tyler Boyd is not a fun experience. Again, probably the best third receiver in the entire NFL there. But again, I still have Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. Jamar Chase, probably a top 5 receiver. In terms of talent, I think he's actually the second best wide receiver. I don't know how you beat this guy's talent. Again, he got some games where he kind of disappeared last year. Again, without Joe Burrow for the half of the season wasn't great. But I just think it was his most well-rounded season overall in terms of reliability. He got open more than he did at any other time in his career. Again, obviously the 18 yards per catch, or the 1,500 yards he had as a rookie, or the 13 touchdowns. But again, I think he was still good. Obviously, you'd say, career low in touchdowns. But again, he was still Jamar Chase, guys. Still made those big plays. But again, just was a little bit more of a stable receiver guy you can just get the football to. More than anything, but again, that's really what he's gonna have to be in his career, because then you can't. Again, Jamar Chase he's obviously gonna be great. They're gonna like the latter half of his career. He's not gonna be a guy you can just chuck the ball up to and he'll go get it. But obviously, that athleticism is still obviously there. Again, he's still super young. He's one of the best receivers in the league. T. Higgins, yeah, really weird year last year. Only play again. He had he was healthy scratch. I don't really think that really the whole season healthy at all. Still made some incredible catches at times though. I'm kind of right last year off again, kind of injury riddled year to be honest. He got open a pretty good amount though. His release kind of was shot though. That was a little bit concerning again after back-to-back 1,000-yard season. For a jump ball guy, still made a couple plays here and there with that. But again, I think that if he can get back to the guy we saw. Again, he was good at the end of the season, obviously, but towards, again, when we look at it, again, if he can get back to the guy he was in 2022, that would be big. But again, he's still a very good receiver. Jermaine Burton, I don't know if he'll work too well in the slot. Again, when you looked at him, he's a sort of a yak threat, I guess. He did a lot of good stuff for Alabama last year. Again, pretty athletic. Again, pretty good deep threat as well. But again, in terms of threading the needle up the middle of the field, going up and getting the football, again, back shoulder type of stuff, I don't know how it'll work super well. He can play as a Z pretty well though. So honestly, again, with Jamar Chase being a very good slot guy as well, honestly, those guys switching out, I think would be a really interesting dynamic for this offense. Trent Irwin, he's proven to be a good fourth receiver. Again, he's nothing special again in terms of his athleticism or really his talent, but he does make good plays again when he does get the football, pretty decent, reliable hands. Again, just doesn't create really a ton of separation, or again, you can really count him consistently get open again. But schematically, he's a pretty good guy to have there. Again, good run blocker as well. Andre Isavias, Jesus, I can't pronounce his name right. This guy's actually pretty promising. Honestly, I think they're going to use him a lot more this year. But again, he hasn't really proven much. Again, out of Princeton, and he was pretty athletic guy overall. I'd be interested what he can see this year. Charlie Jones will return, and then get a bunch of other guys like Cole Burgess. Is Terrell Burgess? I don't know, guys. But either way, though, again, it's not the most deep receiving core. Again, they got 5 guys who I'm pretty excited about. But overall, again, it's not. Again, you got 2 guys who you know are going to be really good. And then you get C with your third receiver. But overall, probably this receiving core a B+. No, I'll give them I think a B+ is fair, I guess. With that, again, the T Higgins situation is a complete disaster. I get that again with the contract. But do I give them a B+ or a B? Honestly, I think Jermaine Burton's good enough as a third option because, again, Tyler Boyd's obviously better this year, again, unless Jermaine Burton pops off. But, again, I think he'll at least be able to get 600 yards again. Honestly, with the scheme, honestly, I think people, is this being a little bit projective here? I think it is. You know, I got to keep my... T. Higgins is the number 1 receiver. I'm getting so tough with this. Again, obviously they'd be an A tier with Tyler Boyd, but honestly I think a B+ is fair. I really do think so. So 9, 18, and 27. You could say I'm a little bit overrating them, but honestly, they're still a really good receiving core, so I think B+ is fair. Now let's go with tight end. In this tight end position for the Bengals, have seen a lot of turnover the past couple of years. Of course, this year's new starting guy will be Mike Gesicki. Of course, last year, again, a member of the Patriots was a backup guy. I think he did an okay job, I guess. Nothing crazy. Again, of course, Mike Gesicki. I think he'll actually look really good in this offense, though. Again, if you watch the preview to this, again, the pre-video to this. Either way, though, again, the roster grades. Again, we saw his highlights. Again, he's a guy I think, again, is a pretty reliable receiver. We haven't really seen him, again, as a true starter since 2021. I don't know what the hell the Dolphins were trying to do with him in 2022 as, again, that backup guy. It was really stupid. But, again, he's, again, good red zone threat. Doesn't always, again, run the best routes or is, like, in the most, again, he's not the most athletic guy by any means, but, again, I think he's, again, good for 500 yards. Again, health might be a little bit of a problem. Again, not really, but we'll see. Again, I think there's times where he doesn't play healthy, even though, again, he's basically played healthy every single game. He's only missed one game in his career, so that kind of tells you that. But, again, I think he's not always playing 100%, which, again, shows how tough he is. But, yeah, I think he's a starting caliber guy. Nothing more than that, but, yeah, starting caliber guy. True sample. Again, solid backup, I guess. It's just there's times where he just doesn't really seem to know what he's doing in terms of, again, the routes he's running. Because you look at, like, those underneath routes where, again, check down. Not always on time with Joe Burrow, which, again, is a big issue. So, again, if he can become a little bit more reliable there, I think he would be big. But, again, he's a solid blocker. And, again, overall, again, I think he's a decent backup. Tanner Hudson, did he play at all last year? No, he did. What am I saying? Holy crap. I was thinking of the Giants. Holy crap. But, yeah, last year I actually played a good amount. Again, it's weird. He catches the football up, just doesn't do too much for it. He's solid back. Again, another solid backup. Only played 12 games. This is actually interesting. We'll see what Tanner Hudson can do this year. Other than watch out. Eric Hall Jr., I don't know if he's this far back in the depth chart. Of course, he played at Iowa. Again, the best way I can put him is like Sam Laporta, but like super like watered down. Because again, he has decent awareness when it comes to running routes. Again, especially on those crossers, does a good job there. Run blocking, again, it's pretty good, but he doesn't sustain super well. It's weird. But yeah, I think Eric Hall could definitely be a guy that could again start at some point for this team. But overall, going to get a really deep tight end room when it comes down to it. But again, I'll probably give them a C+, but there's potential for this for sure because it's probably one of the deepest tight end rooms in the entire NFL. They got guys, all those guys can again play for sure. But again, I just don't know again because considering Mike Gesicki's an average guy there. But that's 12 points. Now let's look at his offensive line now. All right, now time for the Bengals offensive line, which I could argue is one of the deepest in the entire NFL. I mean, the backups, I wouldn't say again when we've seen them play, they've been not good, but they are guys who have played and you probably have heard of. That's the best way I can put it. Obviously, though, their starting left tackle is Orlando Brown Jr. Again, second year with this team. Was this a Chiefs last? I actually got confused. Was he with the Bengals last year? Again, he's been on like 4 different teams the past couple of years. Or did they sign him? I keep getting confused. No, he was on them last year, right? Yeah, he was on the Bengals last year. Again, really consistent left tackle. I wouldn't get him confused again as like an elite guy, but he's really freaking good. Again, just stable left tackle. I think he's like the next level up from Jake Matthews out there. Again, played right tackle first year. Again, when Ryan Staley got injured 2020, he wanted to get paid. So 2021, he got traded over to the Chiefs. He played for 2 years, and then obviously in 2023, came to the Bengals on a massive deal, and yeah, he's played up to it, I guess, somewhat. As a run blocker, different too, especially when his pass blocker is really stable out there. Jackson Carman, I mean, I really still don't know. That's such a big reach out of Clemson there. I mean, when he's been on the field, he just hasn't been the guy worthy of that high of a pick. But again, it's not like he's been like bad for overall. But again, yeah, it's just been disappointing. Jackson Carman, I mean, I guess he's a decent backable tackle. Again, his technique's always been poor, so again, that's gonna hinder him. But he does have some decent athleticism. Cordell Volson, I wouldn't say he's dead average, but he's pretty close to it because when it comes down to it, he's a solid pass blocker, but as a run blocker, just doesn't really create much penetration really at all. But again, he does sustain pretty well, and he's a pretty good guy there. Again, for a 4th round pick at a a couple years ago, he's worked out really good. Obviously, going forward, he was really bad for 2 years with Bills. Just awful. But again, since coming to the Bengals, he's done a pretty decent job. Much better in pass protection. Never been a great run blocker, but again, that's really never changed. So I mean, I really don't care there. Again, his pass protection was the big issue though. Ted Karras, average center. Again, he'll do a decent job. I wouldn't say he's underrated. I wouldn't say he's great, but yeah, he does a decent job there. Trey Hill, he was part of that O-line that gave a lot of sacks when everyone like, this offensive line sucks. Yeah, he was part of that. But I will say this, he has improved a little bit, so I guess that's good. Alex Kappa, good right guard. Again, he was not good to start his career, kind of just gotten better every year since. Pretty underrated at this point. Jackson Kirkland, of course, out of Washington. He was okay, I think it was 2022 there. I don't really see what's so great about him. I mean, I guess he's a pretty solid pass blocker, so I can kind of see that. But yeah, I think he'll get moved around a little bit if he does start. Trent Brown, solid right tackle. I think he got a little bit again kind of gets overrated a little bit. After again his last season with the Raiders, again with the Patriots he did a decent job. Wasn't great last year, but again he's a pretty solid left tackle when it comes down to it. Marius Mims, again I love this guy a lot. Like this guy a lot, I guess. The biggest thing with Marius Mims, I think, again, is just being able to be consistent. We haven't really seen him play a lot, but again, he's a monster man at 340 and 6'7", super athletic. Again, he could be a freaking all-pro right tackle for sure someday. I like his offensive line a lot, and you got a ton of depth. I'll probably give them a B. You could argue a B+, but again, when you look at it overall, I don't see, again, outside of maybe Orlando Brown Jr., I don't see like an elite guy really at all. These are all solid players. The depth is good too. You could argue to B+, but I don't think I'll go there. Because again, the O-line, it wasn't like they were crazy last year. They gave a lot of pressure when it came down to it. They've always given a lot of pressure, but I'm going to see... objectively, 16 points though. That's all I got for the O-line. B+ would be if you really want to give them that, but again, they're not going to move me in terms of, again, really, as a run blocking unit. But now let's do this overall offensive grade. And doing the math for this offense, that would be 60 plus 12 plus 27 plus 12 plus 16. That puts them at 127 points, and in the B+ tier for this offense. I think that's pretty fair. Of course, when you got a guy like Joe Burrow at quarterback, when he is healthy and 100%. This offense will be elevated for sure. The O-line, again, I think is really solid, and I think is a little bit different than last year. I really don't know for sure, again, obviously. But again, there's a little bit less depth, but again, I think, again, when it comes down to, again, to switch out of Mike Gesicki and Tyler Boyd, I don't think, again, that dynamic will really change again. Also, again, this tight end room being super deep, I think will help this team out a lot. But overall, this offense, again, I don't know, it just doesn't feel the same as it has in the past, I guess. But honestly, again, with Joe Burrow at quarterback, again, it's going to be a pretty, again, good offense when it comes down to it. But again, we'll see what they can do. But in terms of talent, I guess, B+ is where I sit them. Again, it should be a really good offense this year. But that's all I got for the Bengals offense. Now let's get this defense starting out the linebacking core. And it's the Bengals defense that does run a 4-3 unit. So, of course, this linebacking core does have 3 guys we will be talking about, again, as the starters. And they've all played together for the past 3 years. Of course, first starting off Logan Wilson, who is arguably the most underrated linebacker in the entire NFL. He's an absolute monster. I will say this, he wasn't as good last year as he was in 2022, at least in overall, again, effectiveness. But he made a lot more plays, I think, overall. Again, missed a couple of tackles here and there. But Logan Wilson's a great player. You could argue he's elite, but I don't know for sure there because he's just not always the most consistent. But again, as a run defender, a guy who can really just make a lot of the big time tackles, he does that at a very good clip. I think we got Joe Batchy as his backup. Hasn't really gotten a ton of experience really at all. But again, when you saw him play in 2021, the few snaps, he did do a decent job. Last year, he didn't get a lot of playing time. He's a solid special teamer though. Works really hard again. I love that work ethic out of him. Again, not a bad guy to have as a backup. Jermaine Pratt, again, he's been their middle linebacker since 2019. I guess you could basically say that. But what really separates him in terms of, again, being from an average guy, again, you could argue he is average, but it's more the fact that, again, he makes the tackles in the open field, again, that an average guy doesn't make, and the fact that, again, coverage, he's really solid, again, at being able to cover the, deep middle of the field. Again, being able to get up there, even though he does sacrifice his rating in overall in terms of, that sort of statistic there, I think it does shade off a little bit when it comes to, again, those underneath routes. But again, Jermaine Pratt, not the most physically gifted guy, but again, he's a really solid starter there, again. You'd want that guy there overall. Devin Harper, he put a little bit last year. Again, I'm not really great on him. Again, he didn't really do much with the Cowboys again in training camp either. I mean, again, he's not the greatest backup to have. Again, if any of these guys are hurt, I would not be. Joe Batchy, I guess, is okay, but after that, guys, just gets a little bit shaky. Akeem Davis-Gaylor, again, he's really good at setting the edge. Only played 13 games last year and really didn't play much either. It was kind of weird, but yeah, he's decent, I guess. Again, they run a lot of 5 DBs, so again, he doesn't get as much playing time. He was good, though, in 2022. The big issue, I think, with him, again, is he's just not always going to be able to get off blocks. Great, does set the edge pretty well, though, so I guess that's good. But again, they got 3 guys, again, I'm pretty confident in. Again, Team Davis Gaylor isn't anything special, but it's a pretty good group overall. It comes out to 9, 18, where are we going to go? B, I think we got B's fair. 9, 18, and 24 points. Now let's look at, Now let's look at this defensive line knives to the pass rush of this football team. Okay, D-line time. Again, we'll talk about the pass rush as well for the Bengals. Again, this is a D-line that, again, overall, again, people think it's pretty well regarded overall. That is mostly because of their superstar edge rusher, Trey Anderson, who had 17.5 sacks last year. I'll say it right now, he's not a great run defender, even though he actually was pretty solid there last year. That is not something you're going to want to look out for. Again, he does what it's going to do a pretty good job in terms of, again, being able to, again, at least hold off some of these, again, bigger offensive linemen when they're trying to set the edge. So, again, decent there, but he's not going to make a ton of plays against the run. Again, he's just, again, guy was at least, I think, what is it? I think he has like 5 or 6 moves, again, on film, but he consistently uses 5. He has just an elite arsenal of, what is it called, moves. But most importantly, his bull rush is what sets that all up. Again, he's got a really good bull rush. Again, ever since that breakout 20 season, again, he's just been awesome. All right, 2022, again, maybe wasn't as, again, dominant as a pass rusher, but again, still was really freaking good. And yeah, Trey Anderson, definitely a top 10 guy. Again, he's just a freaking monster. Elite guy there. Sam Hubbard on the other side was not a monster last year, even though, again, the 6 sacks might let on that he was pretty decent. He was not. As a run defender, I don't think, again, the PFF grade just doesn't really say it. Yes, he did get knocked around a little bit, but again, I just don't think he shed blocks really the way I think, again, he really did in the past. It was really weird. As a pass rusher, it just wasn't really effective at all. Yeah, he had 6 sacks, but again, he wasn't really generating any sort of stuff one-on-ones, but again, that's what he's there to do. But again, I'm not going to get too much on him, yeah, he was bad last year, there's no way around that. But again, if he can come back this year and have a better year, that would be huge. Again, just Sam Hubbard, again, I don't think his run defense was really that bad. It wasn't like he missed a ton of tackles, but it wasn't the same guy as pass rusher. Again, I think that is a little bit of an issue. But yeah, he was not good last year. Cam Sample, he actually picked up slack a lot as a run defender. Again, he really just puts again a lot of it, kind of like reinstates the integrity of this run defense. Again, they've had times they've gotten completely just torched. And he's been kind of that guy to kind of come in and just basically make a play to kind of like stop the bleeding, I guess. As passer just really isn't, again, doesn't have the moves. Again, I think he has probably one club move that's okay. Again, Sam Hubbard has his, what is it called? Also, the club move that I think he actually taught him, because they look very similar. And again, it's kind of weird there, but yeah, that's what I see there. And I think Trey Anderson, who again has like a million moves, so again, they probably learned from him too. Joseph Osai, again, another guy, again, for a third round pick, again, I thought he was going to be really good. Played a little 22-2, of course, cost the Bengals the Super Bowl, I guess, in 2022 as well. And then last year didn't really get much snaps. Again, I think he's a pretty talented player, just hasn't really gotten the opportunity yet. Miles Murray played sparingly last year. Again, he didn't really do too much. I'm kind of frustrated, though, because I think, again, he got a lot more snaps than they gave him. But, I mean, again, as a depth guy, again, overall, again, his first couple of years, I don't think that's the end of the world there, but again, he definitely has some work to do this year. Now we get to the, obviously, this, now we get to the D-line, of course. Losing DJ Reader is a huge loss. He was literally their entire run defense at times. Sean Reagans, he's not a bad guy. Again, he's always been a consistent pass rusher overall. Had 6 sacks last year with the Texans, which I think was actually pretty interesting. Always been a pretty decent nose tackle in terms of run defense. But again, playing again out in 3-tech could be interesting for sure. Yeah, he's a solid player, though. BJ Hill, he's also solid. Again, I wouldn't go anything farther than that either. Again, both of them, again, aren't, again, as a run defender, he had a massive 2022, again, with DJ Reader out there. But yeah, he definitely looked a lot less dominant in a lot of ways again as a run defender last year. Of course, DJ Reader off the field for part of the season, but obviously he did do a decent job. But again, the reason they got Chris Jenkins Jr. though was to add a guy who can add a little bit of mold to both of those guys. Because yes, both these guys are pretty solid overall, but Chris Jenkins can just be better than both of them. And again, just add a little bit more fresh legs overall. And again, I think that could really help again this defensive line. Because then Sheldon Rankins and Chris Jenkins Jr. Or just B.J. Hill and Chris Jenkins Jr. could, again, amount to somewhat of the same player DJ Reader was, again, on a down-to-down basis. I'm just saying, you can't really replace him, but again, getting a guy like that could help out. Zach Carter, he played a little bit last year as well. I think he actually be a pretty good player. He's actually really athletic, has a couple of really good finesse moves, but as a power rusher, he needs a lot of work. And as you got J.J. Fooley and McKinley Jackson, and who did he play for? Yeah, at Texas A&M. But both those guys could be interesting. They have a really deep and young defensive line, which I think is really fun. But again, when it comes down to Trey Anderson's really the only guy in this defensive line, again, at least last year, that was consistently winning. You can't say Marber just wasn't. I'm sorry. But overall, probably give this D-line a B. You can argue to B+, but again, I don't think they have, again, Trey Anderson's awesome, but the rest of these guys, again, are probably average to a little bit of average. That's probably where I'll go there. Again, they got decent depth, though, which really helps them out. But again, I don't think this defensive line is anything crazy, again, even though Trey Anderson is that good. 6, 12, and 16 points for the defensive line. The pass rush, though, honestly, I might give them a B+. Just because of that rotation, I actually think I'll give them a B+. That might sound a little crazy. I just don't see Tim Howard being as bad as he was last year, just to be honest. But again, the defensive line, they're going to get definitely penetrated overall. But again, they got a lot of guys who can get after quarterback, which again I think is a big thing there. Even again, if you argue they don't have a number 2 guy, again, I think they're going to be good here. That's going to come to 36 points there. Now let's get the starting of the secondary, of course, the cornerback. And looking at this cornerback position for the Bengals, I'm actually really excited for this group. Of course, their number 1 corner is Cam Taylor-Britt, who is really underrated. He was awesome last year as again that rangy boundary guy, obviously. He's not the best tackler, but he can still be pretty effective out there. Again, he had a massive year in terms of playmaking, 4 interceptions, of course, with that pick 6 as well. He's just a really good player. Again, super athletic, again, super fast, really good hip fluidity overall. Again, I think he's super underrated. He can get legitimate number corner. Again, if you can really repeat that success he had from last year, that would be huge. Again, he's not the most effective press corner, but again, in terms of his own guy and being able to again really just play with these number 1 receivers, it's really good there. Josh Newton, of course, out of TCU. Again, he was actually really good for them last year. Again, played a lot of press. The problem with him is he's just not, again, the most gifted guy in terms of, again, the speed and size combination there. Only 6 foot 190. But he does have some really good things going for him as well. So, again, as a man guy playing a lot of press, again, I think he could definitely come in and do a good job. Alan George. This guy has such a weird name. Out of Vanderbilt. Honestly, I think his song got roasted against Georgia. And that's really, again, against George Pickens. Really all I saw about him. But, again, maybe he could be good, I guess. DJ Turner. Interesting guy for sure, of course, out of Michigan. I think he played pretty decent last year. He got burned a couple times, so I'm like, yeah, he just got to make that play. And he did get a little bit abused out on the boundary by some of these running backs. Again, I think that, again, as a run defender, could use a lot of work there. But again, overall, his job is to play a lot of zone corner on the boundary. He did a decent job of that last year. I don't really know if I'd say, again, he's anything better than that. But, again, I think he could definitely be a solid number 2 for sure. Dax Hill, again, played a lot of free safety. Again, it was weird, again, last year. He made a lot of tackles, obviously. But overall, just wasn't really great in coverage. I think he was, overall, was an okay player. But, yeah. Again, I think it's going to be weird how they use him, but he'll be used a lot. Again, I think that's really big there. The big thing with them, they got a lot of good guys here, but for sure, Dax Hill, it's going to be interesting how they use him. But yeah, I think he's definitely a quality player for this football team. Matt Gillen, again, really solid slot. I mean, there's no other way to put it. Again, really good player. But overall, with this cornerback room, I'll probably give them a B-. I think that's fair. DJ Turner, I just don't know, again, if he can really play there, I guess. You know, I'll give them a B. Can't tell, but it's a really good number 1. It'd be a little bit of a reach there, but again, they got 4 guys, I guess. It's weird what they're doing here at corner for this team. But again, I think it's still a pretty good group. 6, 12, and 16 points at corner. Now let's look at safety. Okay, time for safety. Of course, this is a group that did what it's called, retain Von Bell, and obviously, well, he returned, I guess. Geno Stone's another guy they got as well. Jordan Battle, again, he was a strong safety. He had a very solid rookie season. Again, for a 3rd round pick, he played really well. Again, coverage, especially in man, you definitely saw the flaws. Again, he didn't really stick against most of those tight ends. But he definitely did a good job when it came to, again, defending pass. Again, when the ball came to him, he did make a good play there. In terms of tackling, was pretty solid as well. Didn't get start the whole season with Nick Scott there, but he definitely replaced Nick Scott really well. I think Jordan Battle could definitely be a good player for a while. Von Bell was not good last year with the what it's called Panthers. Just straight up wasn't. Only played 13 games as well, but again, overall, again, in terms of tackling, he didn't miss too many. Again, I think it was just disappointing year last year. That's what I'm going to chalk it up to. But again, pretty good depth piece for this defense as well. Again, he'll get used a good amount. Geno Stone, again, you talk all you want about the 7 interceptions again, but yeah, he wasn't elite by any means last year. Again, as a starter, again, he was still really pretty darn good overall, obviously. But yeah, the interceptions definitely take it away because again, he wasn't anything special in 2022 or 2021. But again, he did do a lot for this team last year, and I will take that into account. Even if he obviously was probably the best defense in football, and was put in a lot of good spots. As his own guy, does a really good job of reading the play, and obviously just again a smart player overall. But don't get confused, he's not some like rangy center field demon back there. He does make a lot of good plays though. What is called in the intermediate part of the field. Tyson Anderson, we'll see what he can do. Again, I really don't know. Again, we'll see. Again, I'll definitely keep tabs on the preseason. But again, kind of an unknown there, which again could be an issue. But again, they go 3 deep at safety, which again, a lot of teams that don't. Again, some teams only have 1 guy. And I'm like, yeah, they're pretty good. But safety-wise, I'll actually probably give them, I don't know, B- would be fair. Because again, Jordan Battle's an average guy right now, guys. Geno Stone probably pretty good. Von Bell, decent depth. Again, the depth will definitely be higher here. But again, I really don't see anything crazy with the safety room. Again, last year there were some problems for sure with this group. But again, I think they'll be a good, decent better than they were last year. Now let's do this overall defensive grade after all that. And doing the math for this defense is 24 plus 16 plus 36 plus 16 plus 21. That's 113 points for this defense, which puts them in the B- tier, which I think is where they belong. Last year, this Bengals defense, again, had some ups. They had a pretty good amount of downs. But overall, again, I think there'll be a little bit more consistency this year for sure. They gotta get, I think, a group that again will work really well together. Again, marrying that pass rush and what is called the coverage. But the biggest thing I think is designing this secondary to the point where again they don't have to be relied on in man coverage. Because again, the zone part of this defense will be the part that again could elevate this group overall, and again help them out again bad looks again when it comes to again if the team starts to run the ball now. Because I don't expect it to be a great run defense overall. Again, the linebackers will be able to make tackles for sure. But again, this defensive line, I just don't see this group again as a bunch of guys that are like, oh my god, they're just gonna mow over guys, just blow up, get the run. They don't really penetrate that well there. But again, B- where I see this defense is, again, it's nothing special, but it's a pretty solid group. We'll see again how they can develop throughout the whole entire season. But again, B- where I think the talent in this group is. That's all after the defense. So again, now it's time. Let's start with the special teams unit. The depth of this football team, and obviously, what are the Cincinnati 2024 Cincinnati Bengals going to look like? Special teams time for the Bengals. Of course, the kickers Evan McPherson. He was pretty average last year overall. Again, he's never been the most consistent kicker, but obviously, again, he has a pretty darn good leg overall, and again, he's a pretty reliable guy. Again, they use him a pretty good amount. Again, solid kicker, obviously. Brad Robbins. I don't really know what to say about him because again, he punted a lot, but didn't really do much with it. So I mean, kind of a below average punter, I guess. Charlie Jones, again, he had a touchdown against the Ravens, which again, I think was first touchdown of the year for this team, which is pretty bad. But yeah, he's a decent per count returner. And Traven Williams, he'll do a good average when it comes to kick returner. Cal Dominus, I think he was the long snapper in the Super Bowl, but yeah, that's really all I can say about them. This special teams unit, I'm not it's nothing crazy good, but they do a pretty good job in terms of wrapping up overall. I'll give them a B. Yeah, the kicker and the punter aren't great, but again, overall, I like this group, so I'll give them a B. 3, 6, and 8 points for the special teams. Alright, depth of this offense. First things first, quarterback depth, I'll probably give that a B+. I think I look at her pretty good. Running back depth, C-. It's not great. No, honestly, no, I think I'll just go C-. So right now, I guess so far we're at a C+. Yeah. Wide receiver depth, C. That might be a little nice. C-. Yeah, we're probably at a C at this point. Tight end depth, A+. I mean, all these guys can play, guys. Let's be honest. No, it can't be an A+. I'll give them an A, which probably bumps them up to a B. O-line depth, I'll give it a B, which again, they're going to be A. So offensively, they have pretty good depth of B. Linebacker depth, probably a D. It's not great. D-line depth, B+, probably. So at this point, we're probably at a C. Yeah, C. Pass rush depth, this is tough. Again, they don't have a number 2, but they got a lot of good rotational guys. So again, at least 7. The way I say how last year, I bet it'll be better this year though. So consider if we say number 2, that's probably a B as well. Which I'm gonna say they're gonna be at a B- so far with the depth grade. Quarterback depth, I don't think it's a big problem. Probably C+. Still at a B probably. Safety depth, B+. Honestly, I think I'll give them B+. So overall, again, probably gonna be a B. I think the Bengals do have a pretty deep roster overall. Again, there are some positions that can have some issues. Again, linebacker is just not a really deep position, but all those guys have been able to play and proven to be able to play. And considering they use the secondary a lot more, and all those guys are capable of making tackles, again, are decent enough run defenders where again they can kind of get away. Again, having a money backer instead of having those. Having 3 linebackers on the field all the time. Again, I think that's actually a pretty good part of this defense as well. So again, pretty deep team overall. It's going to go 12, 24, and 32 points for the team depth. And then the identity. Offensively, what is this team going to be? I mean, it's pretty simple. If Joe Burrow plays, they're going to move the football pretty good bit. Again, if he is healthy, this offense will be a lot better, obviously. And again, they're going to be able to run the ball out of shotgun, I think, a lot better this year, again, with the acquisitions they made. This offense, again, I think is going to fit really well together. And I think people are kind of overlooking at it overall. So, again, I think they're going to know what they're going to want to do, and I think it'll give a lot of defensive fits. I'll probably give their identity on offense a B+. Because, again, they do need that running game that'll work really well to the shotgun, again, if this is going to be a really effective offense. Defensively, though, this is going to be tough. Again, I think it's pretty simple. It's just don't give up the big play. Again, that's a lot of teams, obviously. You never want to give up the big play. But, again, it's that. And, again, being a quality run defense group, again, overall, can just be able to, again, hold teams, again, 4 yards per carry or less every play. That would be huge. So, again, I think stopping the run for this defense, again, this offense, again, is really just behind Joe Burrow. Again, I think they fit. This offense is really well put together this year. So, identity-wise, we'll probably give them a B. Because, again, if this offense doesn't score a point, I think, again, the pressure on this defense will be a lot. They already went through it last year, but I think B is probably going to put them for their identity. A lot of B's here. That's going to come out to 15, 30, and 35 points. And now let's look at this overall roster grade when we again put all these grades together. And doing the math here, okay, that got stuck. There we go. That equals 32. Well, that's 40 plus 35 plus 113 plus 127. That puts the Bengals at 315 points for their overall roster grade, and that will put them in the B tier. Honestly, I think that's where their roster sits. No, B plus tier, right? This is broken. Whatever. Honestly, I think that'll be B plus. That range is better. There we go. Or no, 320, I guess. Yeah, 315. That works. Whatever. It's in between a range. I think B. No, I think B's better for this roster. The Bengals roster this year again. I think they've got a lot. Again, the biggest thing with a lot of these teams, I think they've got. It's a good roster, but it's not like. I guess we could say 315, 311. I guess that's how you would put it. I guess again, honestly, they're probably gonna be plus. I think that is fair. They've got some really good players in this football team. Obviously, again, Joe Burrow obviously being like the truly elite. But honestly, outside that, they really have nothing in A tier. But then again, there isn't really a hole on this roster either. I'm like, that could be an issue with this team because then they got a deep roster. There's a lot of good stuff. There's nothing again truly outside obviously Joe Burrow that is elite. But I think that does put them in the high B tier. What is it called? Great scale here. Again, I think B plus is fair for this roster overall. Again, running back that really impressive. I'm like, probably average guy starting, but again, they have decent depth, so that does help them a little bit. But again, when it comes down to it, again, I think B plus might be a little bit high, but I think it is still fair. Again, that's where they sit in terms of the point scale. So again, I think that's pretty sustainable overall. But again, we'll see what they can do this season. Obviously, again, I don't expect them to win the Super Bowl, but again, they've been underrated for a while now. Again, at least this whole offseason. So again, with Joe Burrow back, again, I think this team could definitely do some stuff. But that's all I got for the Bengals, guys. Good luck to them this year. And now, yeah, here's a preview of the next team we're going to be doing.
Down to the end zone. Got a man open. Touchdown. Melvin Gordon out of the backfield made the catch for the touchdown.
Told you when he first came into the game that he will not panic. This is a guy that, while he doesn't have a ton of experience, has got a lot of poise. This is a great throw by Driscoll. And I mentioned early in the game about Melvin Gordon. I said he has to be a factor not only in the running game,